Garmagad, and just Deputy Batchik earlier on talked about her distaste for the language, and I agree with her, but she went on to talk about the necessity or the contrast between the Shannon and here, where there's a more collaborative approach in the Shannon, and I think perhaps she's ignoring the reality of what's happened here. We're getting an opportunity to discuss this because the rural independents have used their precious private members' time to allow us to have a discussion, and later today we'll have a bill that will become an act pushed through the Dáil and guillotined. That's the context. Difficult to have collaboration within that environment, and that's what's happened repeatedly from day one. So I'm now looking at a motion, and it's a clever motion in the sense that it's calling for the end to discrimination, and I fully agree with that. I think it's absolutely unacceptable that the government are going to bring in a divisive discriminatory policy, put the responsibility on pub owners and restaurants to ask me whether I'm vaccinated or not. It's absolutely unacceptable. It nakedly exposes the fallacy that we were all in this together. And I come from a city where there is no respite. I know people who are minding their loved ones 24 hours a day because they have various disabilities. And week after week, polite ministers have answered me with no solution. And we can now open up restaurants and we can vaccinate. I'm in a group of 60 to 69-year-olds. I've been told, take the AstraZeneca or go to the bottom of the list. A huge, substantial number of 60 to 69-year-olds cannot get the second vaccination if they want it, and they're being told sit and wait. And not alone that, but the experts, and I'm no expert, but I read, and one of the strongest things is that you should mix the AstraZeneca with a different vaccination to give maximum protection against the Delta. That's been ignored completely as well. So I'm here and I'm looking at a most discriminatory approach. I'm looking at a motion. It doesn't say that the restaurant should be open tomorrow. What they're saying is that when they open, they should be allowed to do their business without this discriminatory practice. If that's it, I fully agree with that. I have no difficulty with that. I think the manner in which we've dealt with COVID has been appalling. I fundamentally disagree with them in their last paragraph in relation to zero COVID, and I, along with a number of others, actively wanted a zero COVID. I believe we've missed the boat when we say we, the government. They prematurely opened up earlier on. Most deaths in nursing homes and elderly people occurred in the third wave, and the statistics are so upsetting I'm not going to quote them. But what really perplexes me with the mixed messages that are coming from the government is the government are accepting this motion. They're not opposing it, they're not amending it, and they're accepting it. And this motion is saying no discrimination, and the same government in a few hours' time is pushing through legislation to say we're going to discriminate. None of it makes sense to me. And if we go to the 60 to the 69-year-olds, because the young people have been mentioned an awful lot, and I have two young sons myself, I'm fully aware of it from both sides. How can you sit there and tell us that the 60 to 69-year-olds must wait to have a cup of coffee in a restaurant? Those who have abided by all of the rules since day one, including myself, and you're telling us, no, we can't. And I think it's all about the numbers. It's all about what vaccines are available and how you get it out. You're being reactive. There's no plan, absolutely no plan for the retail and for the restaurants and the pubs to open up. Your discrimination between wet and dry pubs was utterly absurd and unacceptable. And here we are, a year and a half after a pandemic was declared, and we have total chaos from a government that's not fit to lead. Three unwise men, I keep repeating it, but that's democracy. People voted them in, telling us that they accept this motion of non-discrimination, but later on we'll put through legislation that will discriminate. And all the while in Galway, there is no respite service for those most vulnerable.
Our next